You know, every single time you download an app or you click that little I agree box without a second thought, you're basically signing a contract. It's a digital bargain. But let's be honest, have you ever actually read the terms? What have we all agreed to in exchange for the convenience of our modern lives? It's time to unpack the real price of our digital world. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the amazing offer on the table, the deal itself. Then, we're going to flip it over and look at the price tags, talking about privacy and ownership. After that, we'll ask a really big question. Is this whole system even fair? And finally, we'll get into how we can start building a better, more ethical web for all of us. All right, let's dive right in with our first section, our digital deal. Before we get into all the complicated fine print, we really have to acknowledge why we signed this contract in the first place. I mean, the offer on the table is frankly pretty incredible. Just think about it for a second. We can talk to family halfway across the globe, get instant directions in a brand new city, order pretty much anything to our door, and access the sum of human knowledge, all from a little device that fits right in our pocket. This is the amazing promise of technology, and it's a powerful, genuinely life-changing offer. And there's the catch. We get all of this amazing stuff, but what are we actually agreeing to in return? This is the core tension of our digital lives, this feeling that there's a huge 100-page document of fine print that we've all agreed to without ever reading a single line. Which brings us right to the first major clause in that fine print, the privacy price tag. This is probably the most personal part of the price we pay, and it's not about money, it's about something way more valuable, our personal information. So at its core, digital privacy is all about your information. Every click you make, every search you type, every place you go creates a data point. Privacy concerns are about what happens next. Who's collecting that data? How are they storing it? And most importantly, what are they doing with it? This is the question you should be asking about your own data. Is it just being used to make the service better? Or is it being sold to the highest bidder? Is it being shared with companies you've never even heard of? The lack of clear answers is what makes this whole part of the bargain so unsettling. And the risk here isn't just some theoretical thing. Look at this. When companies we trust collect mountains of our data, they basically paint a giant target on their backs. We've all seen the headlines about massive data breaches where millions of people have their personal info, names, passwords, you name it, stolen and leaked. That's a direct and pretty dangerous consequence of the deal we've made. So if our data is the currency we're spending, what about all the content we create and consume? That brings us to our next section, the ownership question. Who really controls the stuff we see and make online? Okay, so intellectual property, the idea is simple. Just like a physical object, digital creations, like software, a song, a photo, they belong to someone. It's all about giving creators the right to control how their work is used. But in the digital world, where making a perfect copy is as easy as a click, this gets complicated fast. And this is the classic example that shows the conflict perfectly. Because copying and sharing is so easy, it can feel harmless to just download that song or movie you wanted for free. But that's a perfect example of copyright infringement. It completely bypasses the system that's designed to support artists and creators, and it directly violates their rights. All right, let's zoom out a bit for our next section, the fairness factor. Beyond our own personal data and the content we use, we have to ask a much bigger question. Is this whole digital system that we've all bought into actually fair? And this is where the ethics get really complex, touching on huge issues like equity and bias. And here's a huge point. Not everyone even has the same access to this digital world. On one side of what we call the digital divide, you've got access to everything: job applications, online classes, essential services. But on the other side, a lack of access is a massive barrier, limiting opportunities and making inequality even worse. The bargain isn't even offered to everyone in the same way. And even for those of us with access, there's another hidden problem. The algorithms that make these critical decisions about our lives, like whether we get a loan or a job interview, they're trained on historical data. And if that data reflects past human biases, well, the algorithm just learns those biases too. It can end up discriminating against entire groups of people, all while looking totally neutral on the surface. So where does that leave us? Let's get to our final section, building a better web. After looking at all this, privacy, ownership, fairness, it's pretty clear this isn't just some casual agreement we've clicked on. Understanding the terms of this bargain is absolutely essential because it is literally shaping the foundation of our society. When you boil it all down, the rules we set for our digital world, they're just a reflection of our values. The choices we make about privacy and fairness will decide if we build a society that's open and equitable or one that deepens divisions and exploits its own users. So, what does a better bargain even look like? Well, it's built on 4 key pillars. First, it has to protect our basic rights and freedoms online. Second, it needs to actively promote fairness and work to close that digital divide. Third, it requires everyone, including the big companies, to be responsible. And when you put all of that together, you build the most important thing of all: trust. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? We can't just build cool new tools and then think about the consequences later. Ethical thinking needs to be part of the design process right from the very beginning to make sure our technology is actually serving humanity in a positive way. So, our digital bargain is complicated. It has these incredible benefits, but it also has some pretty significant hidden costs. Just being aware of the terms is the first step toward demanding a better deal for ourselves. So the next time you're faced with that little box, the question isn't just if you agree, it's what exactly are you agreeing to?